Whenever I reread this series, there are moments that I look forward to. I've talked about some of these in my other videos, the goosebump-inducing moments, the funny moments, the tear-jerking moments, but today I'm going to talk about the moments that are just so satisfying. So that's what this list is. It's 5 moments that I find really satisfying in Wheel of Time. And as always, no particular order. The first of these moments is a moment that I don't know if it would have been so satisfying if the build-up for it hadn't dragged on for, well, too long, in my opinion. Something that happens in the slog, and the build-up to it, I think, also happens mostly in the slog. Elayne and Nynaeve have been raised to full Aes Sedai by Egwene, who is the Amyrlin seat in Saladar, but nobody believes them. The Aes Sedai aren't treating them as full sisters because they weren't raised in a tower and didn't go through the testing, and other people aren't seeing them as full sisters because they're too young and they don't have the ageless face yet. And so everybody is just sort of ignoring them, even though the Aes Sedai have this ridiculous hierarchy which revolves around strength and the power. Even though Nynaeve is the most powerful channeler ever, and Egwene far outstrips all of them. And it's very, very frustrating having people just sort of steamroll over them and not listen to them. And then Elayne gets a letter from Caridin, and basically the letter from Caridin pisses her off. And it's enough to make her lose it with Merlilla, Adelius, and Vandene, who are with her at this time. And basically just confront them with their own rules and their own logic. They are under the authority of Egwene, their Amyrlin. Their Amyrlin has said that Elayne and Nynaeve are full sisters, therefore they need to be treated with respect and need to be treated like sisters. There's a secret about the runaways that no one has told Elayne and Nynaeve, even though all sisters are supposed to know it, and they're being punished for revealing a secret that they didn't know was a secret. She basically just puts them in their place. They should be higher in standing than these other 3 Aes Sedai. And that moment is really satisfying. And then she goes with them to meet the kin. And the kin also did not believe they were Aes Sedai. And the moment when the kin realize that Elayne and Nynaeve were real Aes Sedai and that they had confined them and punished them, oh, it's so satisfying. The only thing about it that I find just a little less than satisfying is that I wish Nynaeve had been there, especially when she took down the Aes Sedai. But she was having a whole other thing happen here, which I'm going to talk about later in this video. The next satisfying scene on my list also happens in these books, and yeah, it's the one that I was referring to before. It happens at pretty much the same time that scene with Elayne and Merlilla and Adelius and Vandene was happening. It's a scene where Nynaeve breaks her block. The reason I find it so satisfying is that it is Moghedien who makes her break her block. Moghedien does it by accident, and it's fantastic because they have been antagonists for so long. Nynaeve keeps beating Moghedien over and over again, and Moghedien just hates her and has, done horrible things to Nynaeve, but Nynaeve has won, always. Nynaeve always beat her. And Moghedien thinks that she has this moment where she can get revenge. And so she sees Nynaeve and she jumps out of a carriage and just decides she's going to balefire her. But argument for Nynaeve being ta'veren, which I know not canon, but just as she's balefiring her, pigeons fly off and make her miss her aim, just by a fraction. But it causes Nynaeve to sink in the water, and, it kills 2 people, very sad. But it causes Nynaeve to sink into the water, which causes Nynaeve to finally break through her block. And I find it so satisfying that that's how it happened. We have been waiting for so long for Nynaeve to break her block, and it would have been great, however it happened, to see Nynaeve finally be able to channel freely, but to have Moghedien be a part of it just makes it so much sweeter. Of all the people, the one person who would not want Nynaeve to break her block, like more than anyone else, the one person who hates Nynaeve more than anyone else, is the one who has now unlocked her power. It's fantastic. I love it.
I love it.
The third item on my list is, well, it's actually all of Egwene's storyline in The Gathering Storm. It's just how Egwene is able to rise from the ashes, just rise from like the rock bottom that she gets to. She's able to gather support while basically having been returned to being a novice or an accepted, I can't remember which. She's being fork root drugged, and so she can barely channel, but she is gaining this respect. and it is wonderful to watch. Whatever issues I may or may not have with Egwene, and there may or may not be a video upcoming on that, it is wonderful to watch her basically just being awesome and come into her own and gain authority while not having a position of authority. It's fantastic. The whole thing is fantastic. But what makes it even more fantastic is the way she is able to confront Elaida. And there's one line she says to Elaida. She says this to Elaida: "You are a coward and a tyrant. I'd name you Dark Friend as well, but I suspect the Dark One would perhaps be embarrassed to associate with you." Oh, it is so freaking fantastic. And it results in Elaida just beating the shit out of her, which it's a very weird thing to say, but I also find that satisfying. Not that I want Egwene to get beaten at all, but that it made Elaida lose that much control in front of other sisters. And by this point, because of the way the story has been written, we know that the beating is going to be okay, that Egwene is going to be okay. So it doesn't feel as horrible what Elaida is doing to her. That smackdown is just fantastic. And it's not the only thing. She said other things to Elaida, but I love it. It's great. And like the storyline ends with Egwene basically defending the tower while drugged on fork root, which is freaking awesome. I love it.
I love it.
But I weirdly don't find that as satisfying as I find this smackdown of Elaida. It's incredible. Next on my list is a somewhat dark scene. It involves also Moghedien. She actually might be my favorite Forsaken, just because I like this plotline she's involved in. It's the scene where she has just been wounded in the dream world, and she comes back to, I think it's Tenshiko, and she's in that house with the other dark friends, the Black Aja, and she asks Chesmo to heal her. And while she's being healed, Liandrin thinks, this is my chance. I'm going to use my little bit of compulsion on her. And Liandrin is a character that I hate. Like I love to hate her. She's a well-written character. I don't mean she's a bad character, but I hate her so much for what she did to Egwene and just how awful she is. Just whenever I'm in her head, I just want to, I hate you so much. Her character is so bad. So when she tries to use her compulsion on Moghedien, and Moghedien turns around and is like, seriously? You're gonna try this? You're nothing. You're like a little tiny baby compared to me. And just uses her amazing power with compulsion on her. And then just basically shields her. And then ties off the shield in this way that means that it is theoretically possible to untie, but it is so intricate that it is practically impossible. Liandrin's never going to be able to do it, and chances of her actually meeting someone who would be able to do it also impossible. And then she says, you're going to live your entire life knowing that the source is there. You can sense it and you can feel it, but you can't reach it. Which we know, this is what makes men who are gentled want to kill themselves, that they can sense the source, but that they can't reach it. That's what Liandrin's life is going to be, but she's not going to be able to kill herself, even though she is going to be depressed and miserable, because Moghedien puts it in her head, this powerful compulsion to live. And it's intense. Like, this is amazing. This is such a good punishment. It is dark. We haven't really seen Moghedien get really dark. She's done some horrible things to Egwene. She tried to kill Brigitte. But this is what she has done here is intensely cruel. And it's so satisfying because, Liandrin. I hate Liandrin. I get excited when I see Liandrin starting to prepare for this because I know, you about to go down, bitch. The final scene on my list is one that I feel kind of bad about, just because I feel like it reveals something dark about me, but it is still an incredibly satisfying scene. It's the scene where Egwene gets revenge on Renna. Egwene has been collared by the Shanshan. She's a Damani, or Domani? I can never remember how to pronounce this particular word. But she's been collared, and it's been horrible. This is a section of these books that I'm always a bit shocked when I read them. Maybe I won't be now that I'm saying this out loud the next time I reread. I'm always a bit shocked at how contained this section of the books is, because it is so awful what Egwene goes through that I feel like it spans several books. And yet it is basically only the end of the Great Hunt. Like, it's a relatively short part of this mammoth series. It's a relatively short part of a book, but it feels like it lasts for so much longer because it is so awful. It is horrible what she goes through. And I've been hating it. And Nynaeve and Elayne are there, and they, risk their lives to come in and rescue her. They have captured another Suldam. They've done the whole realizing that the Sul'dam can also be collared. They bring her in to rescue Egwene. And after they get Egwene's collar off, Egwene's owner, trainer, God, it's so sickening. It's so sickening. But anyway, her trainer, owner, or whatever, comes in the room and is like, no, you're not allowed to be in here. What's going on? You're not allowed. And before she can do anything, Egwene snaps the collar on her, puts the leash on her wrists, pushes Renna down to the ground, and covers her mouth and does something to her. Not really sure what. But you see that Renna is convulsing in pain, and oh God, yes, I want Renna to get it. Like, when she talked about being submerged in boiling water, now I wanted that other bitch to get it too, because no, it is so awful. But part of me, this is where I feel a bit bad about this, because part of me wants it to go on longer. And if it had been Moghedien doing it, or Forsaken, I would have wanted this scene to happen longer. But because it's Egwene, and I value her personhood, I value her individuality, I value her character, I'm really glad that Nynaeve stepped in and stopped her. And Egwene breaks down and just, like, she says, it's such a childlike phrase she uses. She goes, she hurt me, Nynaeve, she hurt me. And then she just breaks down on Nynaeve, and Nynaeve comforts her, and it's another moment that is actually kind of tear-jerking. It's Nynaeve is there to basically comfort her and say, I understand what your feeling is, but don't turn into one of them. The fact that Nynaeve ends it makes it okay, and then the punishment or the justice that Nynaeve metes out, they leave them collared to be found. And these women are terrified because they know what this means. Of course, it doesn't turn into that. That's a whole other thing. But that moment of terror, the punishment that they received, the actual physical pain that Renna felt, oh, yes. I want all the Sul'dam to get that, all of them, but not possible, so we just get the one. And it is so bloody satisfying. So yeah, this is my list of satisfying moments. Again, as always, in no way exhaustive. I actually have way more moments in my notes, but don't want to make an interminable video, so maybe I'll make another video of satisfying moments later. But yeah, so those are 5 of mine. I'd love to hear what your most satisfying moments are. Let me know in the comments. And as always, like, subscribe, and stick around for the art credits.